Hello! Here with a review today. It's actually a re-review, which I shall now explain. So basically, a little bit of background. About 3-4 years ago, I started reviewing all the Oasis albums, and I did them backwards. And a little while ago, but I was going to say about a month ago, but it wasn't, I had looked before, 7 months ago, somebody pointed out to me that my reviews of Don't Believe the Truth and Dig Out Your Soul had disappeared. So I had a look and I noticed they'd been taken down for copyright reasons, because I had copyrighted music in it. I think for Dig Out Your Soul it was because I had Shock of the Lightning, Out of Time and Falling Down in the video. And I'm sure for Don't Believe the Truth it was just because I had Lila in the video, but I managed to get the Don't Believe the Truth one back. But I couldn't get the Dig Out Your Soul one back, so I thought I'll re-review it. And it seems to be they're moving in on the other videos as well, which is everything I've done, Be Here Now, to Dig Out Your Soul, Morning Glory, and Definitely Maybe You're Alright. So I'm going to re-review all those albums. It's been a while to see how my opinions change, although chances are I'll take down the old videos, I don't know. But because the fat men in suits, have decided to come after me for using copyrighted music, it means I can't do the album background how I normally would for these videos, because I don't want to risk getting my channel taken down completely, copyright strikes and whatever. So we're going to have to be old-fashioned here and just me speaking and no music, no album background or anything like that. So yeah, hopefully it'll be alright. Who knows how it'll turn out. It might be rubbish and you won't see this. Anyway, the first one we're going to talk about is the one Oasis album that was completely taken down and I can't get back, which is their last album, their 7th and final album, Dig Out Your Soul, from 2008. So, I'll start off by showing you all the versions I've got, and then I've got a notebook where I'll give you some background from that. So anyway, this is my vinyl copy. That's the front cover. That's the back cover. Gatefold. There we go. That's the gatefold. Do I get the sleeves out? Will they go back in? One of them. I won't get the records out, but... and then the other one, which I can remember what this one is of the band, which is really good. And I think that's Personnel, is it? Oh, that, yeah, Personnel and copyrights and stuff, which I know all about. So I will put that there on its stand, like so. There we go. I've always liked the Dig Out Your Soul cover because it's textured. It's like, you can feel it. It feels high quality compared to a lot of albums. This is probably my favourite artwork of Oasis albums, to be honest. I really like the artwork of the Dig Out Your Soul period. And then I've also got, I'll show you these, single for the Shock of the Lightning, 7-inch. Its B-side is a Chemical Brothers remix of Falling Down. Then I've got the single 7-inch of I'm Out of Time, which was the second single off the album. Its B-side is a remix by Neon Neon of To Be Well As Life. And finally, Oasis' final single ever released, Falling Down, with its B-side, Those Swollen Hand Blues, which I might talk about, actually, that song. And then I've also got this, a 12-inch remix of Falling Down, which is a 20-minute Cosmic Does Escape, I can't read that. Falling Down, a monstrous psychedelic bubble exploding in your mind. I can't read that bit. This is the remix, a 20-minute remix, I think it's 22-minute, by Amorphous Androphysis, who was supposed to be doing an album with Noel, but Noel never released it. But apparently he recently found the tapes, so that'd be interesting. But yeah, that's an interesting 22-minute version. Most Oasis fans won't like that, but some of you might. I don't mind it. Anyway, I've got my little notebook here, so I shall read you a little bit about the album that I have researched. So it was released 2nd of October 2008. No, it wasn't. It was the 6th of October. I'm good at this. It was recorded at Abbey Road, which was the first time they've recorded at Abbey Road since Be Here Now. But during Be Here Now, I believe they got asked to leave the studio because they were too rebellious in the 90s. But this time they managed to record the full thing from start to finish at Abbey Road. And it was produced by Dave Sardy, who would also produce Don't Believe the Truth, and he would go on to work with Noel on his self-titled High Flying Birds debut album. Yeah, 3 singles off the album, like I've said: Shock of the Lightning, I'm Out of Time, and Falling Down. Shock of the Lightning was the lead single off the album, which got to number 2. This was the first lead single I think Oasis released off an album that didn't get to number 1. No, it wasn't, sorry. It's the first time since Definitely Maybe where the lead single hasn't got to number 1. So all the lead singles since Morning Glory onwards got to number 1, but this one didn't. Got to number 3, I want to say. Was it 2 or 3? I think it was 3. Should have searched that. To promote the album, the band embarked on their Dig Out Your Soul World Tour, which started in Seattle. And then, of course, the last gig was at V-Fest, but it famously came to an end in Paris, where Noel quit the band. I think there was like 3 gigs left on the tour. Was it the Rock On Seine Festival where it ended in August 2009? And this album was pretty well received by critics. At the time, it was seen as sort of a rebirth, in a way, of Oasis, like they were starting something fresh. Obviously, I'll get into my thoughts of it in a minute, but yeah. And Noel wanted this album to have a heavier sound with more electric guitars, less acoustic sort of thing, and more heavy electric stuff, which for the most part they achieved. There was a couple of slower things on here, but yeah, they did what they wanted. Zach Starkey, he was recruited as drummer during the Don't Believe the Truth tour, and I think he was drummer on the album as well, but he was never an official member. During the sessions for this album, he was made an official member, but just as the album was finished, he quit the band to go and be drummer with The Who, because why wouldn't you want to be drummer with The Who? So yeah, so when they went to promote this album, they were a 4-piece again, but officially they were a 5-piece when they recorded it. What else? The album debuted at number 1 here in the UK, as usual. This is the 7th album, so it was their 7th album to top the charts. It went straight in at number 1. And it got to number 5 in the States, which was their highest album charting in America since Be Here Now, I think. So yeah, that's effectively enough for the background. So Dig Out Your Soul is a more psychedelic sounding album anyways. It's heavier compared to what they've done with Don't Believe the Truth and Heath and Chemistry. Stand on the Shoulder of Giants is arguably quite psychedelic in places, but Dig Out Your Soul is probably the most psychedelic, in my opinion at least, Oasis ever got. And to me, this was like a rebirth in a way of the band. They was trying something new. They seemed to be going in a new direction here, which obviously it didn't really go anywhere because they split up after this album. But there is traits of what was to come with Noel's solo stuff, and you know, some of the High Flying Birds vibes do exist on this album. And same with some of the Beady Eye stuff that Liam and the rest of them did. Some of the vibes of that you can hear on this album. If that makes sense. So, I think that's enough for the background for now. Shall we dive into the track-by-track review? I think we should. Opening track, Bag It Up. So yeah, I really like Bag It Up. I think this is a really good opening track, and I really think Noel and Liam sing this together well. Obviously Liam sings it, but Noel's on the harmony vocal, and it sounds really good. I don't think this song was ever done live. In fact, I know it was never done live, which is a shame because, you know, I think it's a really good opening song, this. It really sets the tone of the album, and it's very in your face, which is, it's a good, well, an open track should be in your face. I think it should be the track that grabs your attention. And this one does grab your attention, and yeah, it's a great way to start the album. Bag It Up, it's a good tune. Second track is The Turning. So yeah, I really like this song as well. This one Noel wrote, as did wrote Bag It Up as well. This one is quite psychedelic sounding. There's also an alternative version of this, which, shizer, I didn't show you this. Oh god, if I can lift it, I'll show you now. I'm professional. This box set, the Dig Out Your Soul box set, which, oh god, it's heavy, it's fell over. Which is a book, like so, which has things in it, unsurprisingly, which is vinyl, which includes a bonus disc of outtakes, well not outtakes, but alternative versions, I should say. And one of those alternative versions is of The Turning. And that version of The Turning has Noel singing. And it's less heavy, the mix, I should say. I've lost my page. The mix, it's a much looser mix than what's on the album. Obviously, when Liam's come to sing it, they've made it heavier for his voice, which is fair enough. I like both versions, but I think Liam's version of this is better. There is also an orchestra on this, which for some reason is buried quite deep in the mix. I don't know why. In my opinion, it needs to be turned up a bit, the orchestra. But yeah, I like The Turning, good tune, and it's got a nice little bit of, I think it's supposed to pay homage to Dear Prudence, by the Beatles at the end, which I believe Andy Bell plays. He played it on a hotel balcony in Los Angeles. Yeah, good tune of Turning. After that, Waiting for the Rapture. So this is the first song on the album that Noel sings. I believe this is about when he met his wife, Sarah. And yeah, it's a good song, this. I really like it. It's really in your face. It's got a good drive with a guitar, good riff. But there is another alternative version of this, which I actually prefer. The alternative version of this, which again, Noel does sing the alternative version, but it's a more spaced out sort of 60s sounding psychedelic thing. It's a much more gentle thing. It sounds a much more High Flying Birds type of thing. Whereas what got released on this album sounds more like Oasis. But yeah, that alternative version of Waiting for the Rapture, in my opinion, is better than the released version. Not that the released version is bad, but yeah, the released version sounds like it would have been better with Liam singing it, but that's just my opinion. Not that Noel sings it bad. After that, track 4 is the lead single off the album, Shock of the Lightning. Yeah, it's decent enough. It's got a little drum solo in it, which, yeah, I didn't think I'd ever hear Oasis do. But, yeah, I like Shock of the Lightning. It's not the best lead single they've ever done. It's not the best song on this album, but it is what it is. It's rock and roll. Come in, come out tonight. Can't really see that, but that's what that says. Yeah, Shock of the Lightning. It didn't get to number 1. I can't remember what held it off, but something held it off. Anyway, after that is track 5, I'm Out of Time. So this is the first non-Noel written song of the album. This is Liam's first song of the album, and not only is it the best song I think Liam's ever done, it's possibly the best song on the album. It's a ballad. I think it's the only ballad on the album, but yeah, it's a really good song. You know, this song, yeah, it's the highlight of the album, I think, for a lot of people. And I can't believe these days Liam never does it live. He did it live for a little bit, but he doesn't do it very often, which is preposterous, really. He should be doing it live at every gig he does, in my opinion, because this is the best song Liam has ever written. You know, it's a beautiful production of this song, beautiful melody and whatnot. Yeah, I really think Liam should always be doing this song because it is his best piece of work, I think. It's really dreamy, it's very Lennon-esque, and there is, of course, that John Lennon quote at the end of it, which, as Churchill said, it's an Englishman's inevitable right to live wherever the hell he wants. I mean, what's it going to do? Is it going to vanish? Sort of words to that effect. Which I believe was recorded a few days before he was shot. It's him defending moving to New York, which, you know, it's quite hard to make out that it's John Lennon speaking. Some people might think it is Churchill or someone because of the way it's in the mix. It's quite low in the mix. It's not clear Lennon voice. It's sort of very deep. But yeah, great tune. I'm Out of Time. Best on the album, in my opinion. Track 6, we're back with Noel and the Noel vocal, a Noel written song, Get Off Your High Horse Lady. So a lot of people will feel that this is where the album starts to drop off a bit. Sorry, I've got a cough, by the way, I've got a cold. Which, yeah, I don't think this is a bad song. I don't think it's the best song he's ever done. It's sort of built off a basic stomp, clap, like that. A bit like We Will Rock You. I hate that song, but We Will Rock You by Queen. A bit like that sort of thing. It's kind of Oasis's version, which is probably why it's not a great song, of that. Yeah, it's basically lyrically just saying, you know, get off your high horse, lady. Don't need a ride tonight. Stop ranting on. Stop giving us a hard time. Yeah, I mean, it's not the best song in the world. It is really just filler, but yeah, it's decent enough, I suppose. Fills the space. After that, Falling Down. This is the third and final Noel vocal of the album, and it is the final Noel written song of the album. And was also the final single Oasis ever released. Yeah, great song. Great song. And criminal that Noel doesn't do this live anymore. He did sound check it for a little bit, but it never made it into the main set. You know, it includes some of my favourite lyrics he's ever written. I tried to talk with God to no avail. I called him up in and out of nowhere. I said, if you won't save me, please don't waste my time. That is a great lyric. And, you know, the fact it's Oasis's last single as well, their last song, Falling Down. it's kind of a fitting song to go out with, really. And, you know, I think Noel said himself, to go from Supersonic to Falling Down, if you just listen to those two songs, you'll think, God, that band's been on some journey. So, yeah, it is a fitting final single for Oasis. Personally, I hope they never get back together, although I'd be first there to see them live. I don't think they ever will, but if they did, you know, I think it would kind of tarnish the legacy a bit, because I don't think it would be as good as people are expecting it to be. And Falling Down is a fitting end to the band, and a good song to go out on. Yeah, great tune. After that, To Be Where There's Life. So a lot of people will turn the album off at this point, because from this point on, all the songs are written by the rest of the band. So To Be Where There's Life, this is Gem's song of the album, and what's there to say? It's you know, a lot of people will hate on this song. I like it personally. It's psychedelic. It's probably the most psychedelic song on the album, to be honest. There's sitars and things on it, or toy sitars, I think. It's technically also the title track of the album, because it includes the lyric "Dig Out Your Soul," which I believe is actually referencing like Dig Out Your Soul Records, like get your soul records out. But taken out of context, it actually sounds a pretty good phrase. Dig out your soul. Where's your soul? Get it out. Go on, find your soul. Yeah, I'm just talking rubbish. But To Be Where There's Life, it's nice that both, well, it's a Liam lead vocal, but again, Noel on the harmony, and it's nice to hear the two of them singing it together. Yeah, I like To Be Where There's Life. Right, Ain't Got Nothing comes next. Yeah, I don't like this song. To me, this is the worst song on the album by a long way. Liam wrote this one. It's a bit like the sequel to The Meaning of Soul off Don't Believe the Truth. And yeah, I'm sorry, it's a bad song. I don't like it. This is, you know, if I had to pick between High Horse Lady and this for worst on the album, it would, without a shadow of a doubt, be this. Terrible song. Terrible, terrible song. And they did it live. They did it live for a while on the tour. I think towards the end of the tour it got dropped, thankfully, but yeah, I don't like it. It's a crap song. Nature of Reality comes next. This is Andy Bell's song of the album. It's alright, I don't mind it. It's not the best song he's ever done. It's, you know, Andy Bell's best song, I don't think anyone will dispute, is Turn Up the Sun, which was the opening track, Don't Believe the Truth. But this one, yeah, I mean, it's alright. It's kind of been fitting with the rest of the album, and it's psychedelic vibes, but yeah, it's decent, but it's nothing special. And then finally, the closing track, Soldier On. This is a Liam written song, and it's a great closing track. Bear with me here, I'm going to ramble on a bit. Because this is obviously Oasis' final album, and as this is the closing track, this is the last thing from Oasis. And I don't think it was the last song they recorded, but it's the last thing on this album. Which means it's kind of their swan song, if that makes sense. And it is a great song to end this album, their last album on. Because it sounds like they're sort of not letting go as such, but you know, just saying it's about to get a bit messy, but just soldier on. Who's to say you were right and I was wrong? Soldier on. Yeah, it's quite trippy as well, this song. Again, it's quite psychedelic. Yeah, it's a good song of Liam's. It's never done live, which is a shame. But yeah, I like it. I really like it as a closing track. Soldier On. Good tune. And then we have bonus tracks on the deluxe edition of this album. Most of the stuff on that is alternative versions and remixes, but there are 3 songs from memory which not on the album, which is Lord Don't Slow Me Down. So obviously this was released as a non-album single in the period between Don't Believe the Truth and Dig Out Your Soul, but this is a good enough time to talk about it. Yeah, it's a good tune. I like Lord Don't Slow Me Down. Noel sings this. There's 2 versions online. There's a version of Noel singing it and a version of Liam singing it, but the Noel version is what got released. And I love Noel, but why didn't Liam sing this? It's the sort of song that Liam should be singing. But yeah, it's decent enough. It's not done live all that often. Noel has done it maybe a handful of times on his first solo tour. I think he did it at the Teenage Cancer Trust gig in 2012, I want to say, maybe 2013. But other than that, it's not had a lot of live performances, this song. Then we've got I Believe in All, which is a Liam song. It's now special. And then we have the infamous Boy with the Blues, which is a Liam pen tune and a Liam vocal. And why this song was left off the album, I do not know, because again, this is a great song by Liam. If at that time it was quite a well-known song because it was quite well-known in the Oasis fan base, but they just kept not releasing it. Same thing with Stop the Clocks. It was like a well-known song, but they just didn't release it because they couldn't get it right. And I think Noel said at the time, people kept asking, why is Boy with the Blues not being released? And he just kept saying, ask Liam. But why it's not on this album, I don't know, because it's a great song. It's similar-ish to Bald off Liam's debut solo album, As You Were. But it's got a bit more of a production, a bit more of an Oasis sound to it. Yeah, it's great, Boy with the Blues. And I think it should have been on this album, personally. So that is it. That is Dig Out Your Soul, Oasis's final album. A long, long time ago, I said this was my favourite Oasis album. And I probably shouldn't have said that because I don't think it is anymore. You know, my favourite is probably, sorry to be predictable, Morning Glory. Followed very closely by Definitely Maybe. But of everything after those obvious two, I think this is their best. I think this is a better album than Be Here Now, Don't Believe the Truth, Stand on the Shore of Giants, and Heathen Chemistry. I think of their latter day works, so everything from Be Here Now onwards, I think this is the best of the lot. Because it's them. It sounds like it's them trying something new, trying to adapt and evolve as a band. And I think without Gem and Andy, they wouldn't have been able to do that. So yeah, and whilst it is their final album, and that is quite sad, it's also a fitting final album because it's sort of them preparing to go their separate ways as such. Because I remember in an interview at the time, Noel actually said he doesn't know where the band are going to go after this because he felt this was the album that this lineup of Oasis were destined to make. It was about as good as it could get, which is fair enough. But there was a lot of songs around this that they'd written around this time which were better than a lot of the songs that made this album. So there's a couple of tunes which I think should have gone on this album in place of tracks like High Horse Lady, To Be Where There's Life, Ain't Got Nothing, and Nature Reality. I think those 4 tracks should have been replaced by other songs. And possible contenders, there's 2 Noel Penn tunes, which is Wanna Live in My Dream and A Record Machine and Come On Outside. So these 2 songs were apparently destined for this album and they were supposed to go on it, but the reason they didn't, apparently, is because Liam ran out of time to record the vocal. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. But both those songs were supposed to go on this album and were supposed to have a full-on choir backing them on it as well. But they didn't make it, which is a shame. They have since both been released as High Flying Bird songs. Record Machine went on Noel's debut and Come On Outside was on his Blue Moon Rising EP. But yeah, I think both those songs should have gone on this album. As I've mentioned, Boy with the Blues, I think that should have been on here. And then potentially there's a tune which Beady Eye did as a B-side, which they released under the name of In the Bubble with a Bullet, I think it was called, which Gem wrote, so I think that should have been Gem's song of the album. And I'm going to be controversial here. There's a demo of this, which Gem sings, and I personally think Oasis should have recorded this song with Gem on vocals. Gem has got a really good voice, but he never got to sing in Oasis. He was in Heavy Stereo, which I've actually got their album vinyl. It's just been re-released, and I want to review that, so I might do that pretty soon. But if you've never listened to Heavy Stereo's album, Deja Voodoo, give it a listen. It is a great, great album. And it goes to show that Gem could have been the George Harrison of Oasis. He should have got to sing maybe 1 or 2 songs on an album. And I think In the Bubble with a Bullet, he should have sung. I'll link the demo of him singing it in my bio for this, in the description, sorry. And yeah, obviously the released version with Beady Eye had Liam singing it, which there's nothing wrong with, but I just think it'd be more interesting with Gem singing it because he's got a good voice on him. It does sound a bit Lennon, Gem's voice, if you never heard it. So yeah, I think that should have gone on this album as well. And then obviously The Roller, which have been around since Heathen Chemistry, and why Oasis never recorded it, I don't know. Gem wrote it again. Maybe Gem should have sung it. There's a demo of him singing it, but yeah. So, I don't know, maybe those songs, if they'd gone on the album, this would have been the perfect album. But as it is, it's still not a bad album. But yeah, Dig Out Your Soul, Oasis's final album. It's a good one. It's a good one. It's a very good one. in my opinion. Best of their latter day efforts. So yeah, that is all for now. I will be back. I will probably re-review more Oasis albums. But for now, that is Dig Out Your Soul. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you very soon. Goodbye.